Filmmaker, actor, and author Justin Baldoni comes a real talk, self-esteem building guidebook that helps boys ages 11 and up embrace their feelings and fears instead of repressing them. Joining us live is Justin Baldoni himself to tell us more about his book. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, how are you?
We're good. I'm excited to be talking to you about your book. So could you fill us in a little bit on what Boys Will Be Human is about?
Boys Will Be Human is the book that I wish I had when I was 12 and 14 and 16 and going through middle school and high school as my body was changing. When I was being bullied so relentlessly, I didn't even want to go to school, and had anxiety that I didn't even know I had until I was in my 30s. And I felt like I was the only one going through all of these things, like so many of our young boys do. So I wrote this for them and for the parents and educators in their lives to hopefully read with them so that we can have real, honest conversations and help our boys realize that being a boy and being a man is innate. It's within them. They don't got to try. They don't have to perform. They don't have to do anything. They already are enough.
I think that's great that you've created that. And on your book, I mean, on the back of it, you put a warning that said on it that this might be the most honest book you've ever read. Tell us why that is.
Because it's really honest. I told the publisher, I'm like, I think we need some sort of warning here. Because, look, in the sex chapter, I talk a lot about sex. I talk about porn. I talk about sexual assault. I talk about consent. My good friends at this incredible nonprofit called A Call to Men did a national survey. They went around the country and they spoke to high school boys. And they found that 78% of all high school senior boys, these are 18-year-old men, didn't know the definition of consent. Mm-hmm. And yet we know that 1 in 4 women are survivors of sexual assault, 1 in 5 women survivors of rape. These are gigantic numbers. And also 1 in 9 boys before the age of 18 are assaulted or molested. We got to talk about this stuff. What does consent look like? And boys are the ones out there that are doing the assaulting. So we have to reach our boys before their hormones act up, before they get to a place where they're learning about sex from porn, where in sex, no doesn't mean yes, no doesn't mean no, it means try harder or yes, right? So these are important conversations and it's really honest, and I share personal experiences, and that could be a lot, which is why I encourage parents to really take a look at this book and read it with their kids.
Yeah, and like you mentioned on the back of your book, honest book they may have read. And why do you think there's still a tie to boys and masculinity and sayings like boys don't cry? What impact does that have on boys growing up?
Oh, well, the impact is devastating because I am surrounded by men and meet men every day who don't even know how to cry. See, when we start to numb that part of ourselves at an early age for self-preservation, because when we cry or when we're emotional, we're bullied or picked on, or that vulnerability is used against us, we start to stuff those feelings down, and eventually we become numb to those feelings. So even then, when we become adults and we want to cry, we don't even know how. I remember going to therapy and having my therapist ask me how I was feeling, and I told him how I thought I was feeling. I didn't actually know how I was feeling because I didn't have the ability to talk about sadness, to talk about what that feels like in my body, because I was so numb. Yeah. And this is what the overwhelmingly majority of men feel every single day. They don't even know how they're feeling. That's why the suicide rate for men is 4 times higher than it is for women. We're so quick to anger, we're so quick to rage because that is the only socially acceptable thing that we are allowed to feel. Men can be angry, men can be destructive, men can't be sad.
Well, it's important that we change those narratives. And as someone who works in the film industry, as a filmmaker and actor, do you hope to create and seek more roles that challenge the stereotypical perception of boys and men?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And also just in general, films and movies that move the needle and that, show the human experience. I mean, my next project, I'm going to direct a movie from a best-selling book called It Ends With Us, and it's a book that deals with domestic violence, but there's also men in it. Mm-hmm. And we share and we can look at trauma and how that affects everybody. These are important things. These are not easy conversations to have, but they're important conversations.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make sure to let our viewers where they can go for more information on your book. Justin, thank you so much for talking about it. I hope that more boys and families do get the chance to read your book.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And you can get your own copy of Boys Will Be Human wherever books are sold.